So guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel, and today we're going to be talking about the big question: what is fibromyalgia? Okay, so I'm sure not only would people who don't know what fibromyalgia is love to know what fibromyalgia is, but also people with fibromyalgia would love to know what fibromyalgia is, and I'll explain. Okay, so us with fibromyalgia, we know what it is as in it what we physically feel and what we go through. So we would say fibromyalgia is pain all over our body on a daily basis, along with a vast array of symptoms. But the question I want to go more in depth into is, what is fibromyalgia? Is it a CNS problem? Is it an autoimmune problem? And I'm going to go into those things now. A person with fibromyalgia basically goes through pain every single day. It is a long-term illness condition, whatever you'd like to call it. And what I mean by long-term, it is forever long. There is no cure for it as of yet. We are so hopeful that there will be, but as of yet, there is no cure for it. Fibromyalgia presents itself in widespread pain. So we're in pain every single day, along with a vast array of symptoms such as itchy skin, IBS, dizziness, vertigo, hearing problems, sight problems, slurred speech. There is over 250 symptoms. So that is what we go through with fibromyalgia. That is how fibromyalgia presents itself. So in that aspect of the question, what is fibromyalgia? That is fibromyalgia in a nutshell. Okay, so we're going to go into what the healthcare professionals believe fibromyalgia actually is. So the healthcare professionals at the moment, the biggest one, so what the vast amount of healthcare professionals think it is a CNS problem. Okay, CNS is central nervous system problem. So they believe that the central nervous system is from your brain speaking to your body like any normal person, but with us, it is broken. So they believe that we are receiving pain signals from our body to our brain, telling our brain that our body is in constant pain and constant fight or flight. When I say our brain, I'm not saying it's a mental problem, because it is definitely not. It presents itself in physical symptoms throughout our whole body, but it is our brain telling us. It is our brain telling us that there is a problem in our body and we're in constant pain. So that is the CNS theory, and with the CNS theory, they believe that it comes from either a physical trauma, so being hit by a car, falling off your bike, falling off a roof, having an operation, anything along them lines that has come from you physically being hurt, then it presents itself into fibromyalgia. The next one would be a mental trauma in your life, so a psychological trauma, which I believe mine came from. Okay, so psychological trauma could be a bad breakup or death of a loved one. And then the fibromyalgia symptoms start presenting themselves after this occurs. The third one would be from an illness. So an illness being glandular fever, COVID, maybe a bad case of the flu, something along those lines. So they're the three things they believe it is: physical trauma, mental trauma, or an illness. Okay, they do believe that some people get fibromyalgia from absolutely nothing. So there's no, from the surveys, they've had none of those three things. There is so many theories on what fibromyalgia is when people don't believe it's a CNS problem. There's people that believe it's gut health. There's people that believe it's a vitamin C deficiency, D deficiency. There are people who believe that it is totally a total mental problem. There is people that believe it's an autoimmune disease. And I would say the one that is closest to the CNS would be an autoimmune disease. There is a lot of people, a lot of healthcare professionals that believe that fibromyalgia is actually an autoimmune disease. And an autoimmune disease is where your own cells attack its own body. So there has been no strong 100% definitive proof that it is an autoimmune disease, but there is research happening at the moment, I believe it's in Liverpool, to suggest that it is actually an autoimmune disease. Whether it started as a CNS problem and developed into an autoimmune disease because your body is just shutting down because of the sheer pain you're in constantly. Um, who knows? We don't truly know at the moment. Okay, so my theory. So having fibromyalgia for nearly 8 years now and doing a lot of research into it, I believe that it could. I go back and forth. I go back and forth. Sometimes I'm like, it could actually be an autoimmune disease. And then the thing is, I always get drawn back to the CNS problem. The reason I lean more towards CNS problem is because there's not a lot of facts around fibromyalgia. There's no definitive blood test for it. There's not so many facts. Where there's other conditions where you have facts with fibromyalgia, there is not. But what we do know is that a vast majority of people with fibromyalgia have had either one of those three things, if not more. So a death in the family, a bad breakup, and a physical accident or surgery or childbirth, or an illness. So those three things we do know. Whether that triggers an autoimmune in us or a CNS into an autoimmune, who knows? But I actually think there may be a case for it being a couple of things, if not all of the things together. May start as one of them, but it could be a couple of or all of those three together. And what I mean by this is, I actually had glandular fever not long before my brother passed, and the symptoms didn't start from my glandular fever. So I had pains and the normal flu-like symptoms from glandular fever, but I got over it. I can't remember how long it was till my brother passed, but as soon as my brother passed, my fibromyalgia symptoms started almost instantly within a week. Um, so I would correlate it more towards my brother's passing. However, I believe that there could be a strong connection between the two. And what I mean by that is, I think, so I don't strongly believe, but I think that there could be a chance that you could have an illness like COVID, like glandular fever, one of those, and it could go away, but it could harbor in your body. And then when you have a physical trauma or a mental trauma after this, it may spark something within your body, and then fibromyalgia presents itself. Um, so what I would say is I have my theories and my beliefs, but so does everyone else. And at the moment, we or us or everyone just ain't 100% sure as to why fibromyalgia affects people. Guys, I hope you have found this video insightful. I know I babbled on a little bit. There's just so much to unfold. But what I would say is, the more we get the message out there, and the more research that's done, it will just help us massively. I would like to say to one of my fellow fibro warriors, I hope you're having a low pain day and your fibro flare ups are at bay. Catch you next time.